What's going on, everyone? My name is Suboptimal and I'm just your typical Indian software engineer. In this game dev experiment, we're going to go over the process of building a 3D piano using Three.js. You can see here that there's two separate octaves. There are the natural keys, which are these white keys over here, and of course the flat keys. And when you press a key, you should see that it rotates and also that it changes the color of the key. And of course, at the end of the video, I'm going to showcase a demo of me playing a song on the piano. And because it's going to be a little bit of a longer video, there might be some times where I'm not actually talking. In those times, I'm going to put my mic closer to the keyboard. Think of it sort of like a programming ASMR tutorial type thing. I just wanted to try something different, largely because my throat is a little bit sore right now and I can't really talk too much anyway. And before we get started, I'm just going to ask for one small favor from you guys, and that is to leave a like on this video for the YouTube algorithm. Cool. With that out of the way, let's get started. So as I like to do with all of my Three.js projects, I like to start off with a simple scene where I have a box set up. I did add a template inside of my GameDex repository, which contains this Three.js Vite React project. So, just go here and you'll get everything you need to get a basic Three.js scene initiated. The TLDR is that, I create a Vite.js and React app. I remove everything in the app.jsx file, and all I do is have this canvas. This canvas takes in the Three.js ID, and I pass this into my scene, which is going to initialize the scene with the camera. It's going to add the orbit controls, just a couple of bare bones things to set up the project. This is our base template for starting off with the piano project. So I'm just going to move my mic closer to the keyboard and just start coding away, and hopefully you guys can just sort of follow along on this process. Let's get started. So now that we've got the natural keys basically up and running, let's add some of the flat keys. Cool, so now we've got our basic little piano up and running. The next step is to handle user input and make sure that when a user presses a button that the piano reacts accordingly. So let's get started with that. So with a little bit of refactoring of this code and adding window event listeners, we're able to detect when a key is pressed. Now the only thing left to do is to rotate the key and of course actually play the sound. So let's do that next. For the next portion, what we want to do is rotate each specific key around the world axis. So this is the code for that, and I want to explain this because it's a little more complicated than the normal code that we work with, and this is actually something that I found on Stack Overflow. Basically, all you got to know is that it takes in the rotation that you want to pass in. And this rotation, is it positive or negative? Is it applies a theta that we've already pre-specified on an axis that we've also already pre-specified, and it rotates the key in a clockwise or counterclockwise direction. So for the specific piano, what we want to do is rotate around the x-axis. Each key is going to be rotated around the x-axis to a specific theta, which is going to be the degrees. When we press it, we want to rotate it in a clockwise direction, and then when we release it, we want to rotate it in a counterclockwise direction. So basically this is the function that is going to help us do that. This dot So we create our axis that we want to rotate around, and then the amount of which that we want to rotate around. And now the last thing to do is when we play the key, we want to rotate in a positive direction. So we can call this dot rotate around world axis and pass in a positive 1. Which is going to rotate it in the normal direction, in the clockwise direction, I think. And then, we can pass in -1 when we release the key so that we can rotate it in the counterclockwise direction. So if all things work, this should start playing the piano in the UI. Oh, looks like something messed up. I forgot to add the point, so there's one more variable that we need to define here for this rotate around the world axis, which is the point. So this is going to be the point around which we rotate. So I'm going to say this dot point equals new 3 . And now we've got our piano working with the key rotation. In order to play piano notes, you're going to want to download these MP3 files into your own directory and run them. Fortunately, I found this acoustic grand piano MP3 files from this person named Reality 3D, and what we got to do is figure out how to play them. Now, fortunately, there is a really nice library that allows us to do this, which is called the Howler library, npm install Howler. So you can install the Howler library into your project, and then let me run this project, and let's see how we can import it into our key and play a specific piano note when we press a button. I'm going to go here and import, I believe it is from Howler. I forget what it's called. I think it's called Howl. And the first thing we're going to want to do is when we create this key class, we have to set it up with the sound that key is supposed to play. So this dot sound equals new howl, and what it takes is this src array, and here we're going to pass in the note that we want this thing to play. And I've got all of the notes here: acoustic, grand piano underscore mp3. And here we can just pass in the key name that we are passing from our piano when we are constructing our individual keys, because that is what the name of all these MP3 files are correlated to. I'm going to pass in keynote. Oops, I forgot to make it like this, and then key name, and I believe it is .mp3. Oops. So what we're doing here is setting the sound for this key, but what we still have to do is play it when we press the button. So I'm going to go down here to the this.sound.play, I believe. And what we also want to do is sort of make it fade, because the sound itself is a couple seconds long, but we only want it to play for about a second. And so that is pretty straightforward. We just say this.sound.fade from, max volume, which is 120, in about 1000 milliseconds or 1 second. So now if we start playing our piano, we should start hearing some of the sounds. So let's check it out. Hopefully you guys can hear that, but that is our basic little piano up and running. I just went ahead and cleaned up the code a little bit. I also added this display text just so we know what notes we're pressing, and of course the ability to toggle it on and off. So yeah, that's gonna be it for today. And as promised, I will leave you guys off with a demo of this 3D piano. Be sure to leave a like to help feed the YouTube algorithm, and consider subscribing for more suboptimal content just like this.